2019 general elections, increasingly the question is being asked, how does the ANC keep from being pulled by the nose by opposition parties like the Economic Freedom Fighters? From land reform to free higher education, the Red Berets say the governing party has co-opted some of its key policies, something which Luthuli House denies. And since the election of President Ramaphosa, the two parties have sought greater cooperation, prompting calls for Julius Malema to return to the party that expelled him. Well, joining us now in our Port Elizabeth studios is political analyst Ongama Mtimka. Ongama, good evening to you and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Bohan, and thanks for having me.
Now, Julius Malema has ruled out any return to the ANC. I mean, was this call serious or is it just politicking as usual?
Well, first of all, I think it's interesting that the call is being made within the ANC. It's in the nature of cooperative styles of opposition politics that the temptation to want to swallow the other cooperating partner is always there. We have the evidence of the National Party in South Africa that ended up, because of a cooperative style, it ended up being swallowed by the ANC. You've got the Independent Democrats, which formed an alliance with the DA and ended up being swallowed. I think what we are seeing is the recognition from the ANC higher up that it has not been really called for Julius Malema outside the ANC. In fact, what he's done is he's created a party that, contrary to the trend of splinter parties of the ANC, seems to be poised for growth rather than losing momentum and losing electoral support, to the extent that it becomes a very attractive party to be, merged into the ANC for the top leadership.
That's one scenario, but the nature of coalition politics the world over is that smaller parties often punch considerably above their weight. I'm thinking of Angela Merkel's headaches, for example, in Germany. I mean, is this where we are heading towards in our politics in South Africa?
Yeah, so if one listens to what Julius Malema said, both in terms of what his grandmother said about him never joining the ANC, but also as a matter of strategy and tactics, the EFF has got no reason whatsoever at this stage to want to join to want to entertain that discussion, precisely because in terms of, if you look at future electoral support, it is poised for growth. I think it might hit 10% or even more of the national support. So in terms of how the outlook favors the EFF, and the ANC recognizes this, that is why you see that there's an attempt to actually, in fact, well, there's just been an expression of an intention to have Julius Malema and the EFF come back to the ANC. But as you correctly say, the small parties add to the dynamism of a political system, to the extent that while the ANC had numbers in parliament, the smaller parties were able, because of the strategies and tactics that they used, to be able to actually influence government in a very direct way. So due care has to be exercised in terms of when entertaining negotiations like this, that they don't end up negatively affecting the party system in the country.
Of course, the other headache that the ANC has to deal with is the perception that increasingly it's really becoming the plaything of the EFF, with Julius Malema often calling out policies and decisions that the governing party will make as if he's instructing them. How does the governing party deal with that?
Yeah, so one of the joys for the EFF is that it has been able to take decisions quicker. And precisely because they are not in government, they can almost without direct consequence pronounce faster on decisions than the ANC, which has got the trappings of incumbency and multiple stakeholders to manage, can do. So they will continue to ride that wave for as long as possible. But also in terms of, if you look at the future trends in terms of who's likely going to enter the political stage, both as a voter but as an active actor in the political space, it's young people. And there's a contestation now which the EFF will want to think about, as well as the ANC, as to what posture do they have, what policies do they have that help them become the natural home for the new emerging radical voices and the revitalized political activism of young people. If you look at what happened in university campuses. So the EFF, in a nutshell, will want to continue to play that space of being framing themselves as champions of cutting edge or new policies or radical policies, precisely to attract the youth voter and the newer political actors.
Of course, one of the things we saw today was that the veterans have welcomed the so-called New Dawn. They seem to be back in the fold after, I suppose, some time out in the cold during the time of former President Zuma. How does the weight of their authority lend itself to the party going forward?
Yeah, so I think the reason why they are calling for a consultative conference, I think they want to structure their engagement with the ANC. These are people who see themselves as having transcended generally party politics and with brands that are very strong. So but they want to continue to play a role within the ANC and aid the party, as you had Snuki Zikalala speak there. But they don't want to do so in a way that compromises their brands, that compromises their standing in society. So what they will probably be looking for at that special consultative conference is to perhaps map out some rules of engagement, which are the parameters within which they will lend their support to their party, but also what expectation, where they will state clearly what is expected of current leadership from a moral point of view and an ethical point of view to guarantee the continued support and participation of veterans. And I think they will be learning from the Zuma experience that when the current leadership of a party can act in a way that is not in sync with the values that they, as the veterans, cherished in their time. And so they need to have a more structured engagement where their influence can actually filter through into current party either strategies or tactics, or even just the moral character of the sitting leadership.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all develops, because the president does seem to be playing this game of being all things to all people. But eventually people do want promises made to them to be delivered on. Thank you very much. That was political analyst Ongama Mtimka. And I'm going to go back to you, Frank.